My girlfriend quit her job to open a studio but never did, so I supported her while she blew thousands on luxury until I gave her a weekly budget. Then she tried committing identity fraud in my name. When Mila told me she was quitting her job, she said it like she was announcing a pregnancy, full of hope, like it was the start of something life-changing. "I'm finally gonna do it, Darius," she said, standing barefoot in our tiny Chicago kitchen, clutching a chipped mug of tea like it held the future. "I'm done with marketing. I want to become a ceramic artist. I want to open my own studio." I blinked at her, toast in one hand, trying to make sense of the shift. "Like pottery?" "Yeah," she said, her eyes bright. "Like vases and mugs and those big, wobbly bowls. I've wanted this since college. I just never let myself believe it was realistic. My name is Darius. I'm 34 years old. I live in a 2-bedroom condo in Logan Square with the woman I thought I'd marry. At the time, we'd been together for years. I was a software engineer working remotely, good salary, decent benefits, long hours. Mila was 32 and worked in a boutique marketing firm downtown. Or at least, she had until that morning. "You're serious?" I asked. "As a heart attack," she said. Then she smiled and added, "I know it sounds crazy." It didn't sound crazy. It sounded brave. Or at least that's what I told myself. So I supported her. Literally. Rent, groceries, utilities. I told her I'd cover it all while she figured it out. "You sure?" she asked. "Of course I'm sure," I said. "You've always been there for me. It's your turn now." She teared up. I kissed her forehead. We ordered pizza that night and toasted her new future with cheap wine and stupid grins. The first couple weeks were promising. She signed up for an online pottery class, bought some tools, and started watching endless YouTube videos. Our second bedroom became a kind of makeshift studio, with a plastic tarp on the floor and bags of clay leaning against the wall. But after a while, the excitement started to dim. She still talked about the studio, what colors the walls would be, what she'd name it, how she wanted her logo to look, but she rarely touched the clay. Some nights I'd get home from working 10 hours straight and find her on the couch in sweats, scrolling her phone. "I'm researching glazes," she'd say. Or, "There's this artist in Portland I've been following. Her stuff's incredible." Eventually, she stopped saying even that. The online classes went unfinished. The tools gathered dust. The only thing growing was the pile of Amazon boxes showing up by the door, candles, throw pillows, expensive loungewear. "Mood-setting stuff," she said once, holding up a $60 blanket. "Gotta feel inspired, you know?" I didn't push. I told myself art wasn't linear, that she needed time to find her rhythm, that supporting someone's dream meant being patient. But deep down, something didn't feel right. She talked less about making pottery and more about redesigning the bathroom. She spent hours on her laptop, but I never saw her make a single mug. I kept paying the bills. Because I believed in her. Because I wanted to. Because I thought that's what love was. It started with little things. A new throw blanket here, some ceramic planters there. Mila would say they were inspiration pieces for her future studio. I wanted to believe her. But the packages kept coming. Every day, like clockwork, there'd be something on our doorstep. A marble incense holder. Handmade linen curtains. Organic facial serums from Iceland. Limited edition sneakers, and she didn't even wear sneakers. One day, I came home from work calls and there was a sleek, matte black espresso machine sitting on the counter. "Do we need that?" I asked, trying to keep it casual. She shrugged. "It's for the studio. A good artist needs good coffee." The studio. Always the studio. Even though, nearly 6 months in, we still didn't have a single piece to show for it. Not a bowl. Not a cup. Not a plan. Our second bedroom had become a holding zone for unopened boxes and high-end decor, not clay, not tools. Sometimes I'd peek in and just stare, wondering if I was losing my mind. I noticed the credit card bill first. I never checked it closely before, but something told me to look. That month, it was $3,200. The month before that, $2,800. And all of it stuff I didn't recognize: fancy skincare brands, designer candles, high thread count bedsheets. When I brought it up, I tried to sound light. "Hey, I saw the card statement. Looks like we've had a few big months." Mila barely looked up from her phone. "Yeah, it's mostly studio stuff." "Studio stuff?" I echoed. "Darius," she sighed. "Do you know how many ceramic studios focus on the full aesthetic? The scent, the feel, the furniture, it's all part of the experience. It's what separates real artists from hobbyists." I nodded slowly, even though I didn't really understand. I wanted to trust her. I told myself she was nesting, building her dream from the ground up, even if I couldn't see it yet. But deep down, I had doubts. It felt like she was more interested in the look of being an artist than actually creating anything. Every time I asked about her pottery, she'd say, "I'm still refining my vision." But the only things being refined were her online shopping carts. Then came the $700 Japanese lamp, the $400 cashmere throw, a $1,200 imported rug. She called them investments. I called them red flags. Still, I didn't confront her. Not really. I was scared if I did, it would feel like I was giving up on her. So I kept working, kept covering the bills, kept pretending this was all part of the process. But the studio remained empty. The kiln she once swore she'd buy was never ordered. The pottery will gather dust in the corner, buried beneath boxes of scented candles and mood boards. A year in, I realized we hadn't created a studio. We created a shrine, not to art, but to consumption. And I was the one paying for it. The breaking point came with a leather handbag. It was a Tuesday, one of those long, gray days where work had drained me dry, and when I got home, Mila was in the living room, surrounded by glossy boxes and tissue paper. Did something happen? I asked, setting my laptop back down. She beamed. My order came in. I looked at the pile. 3 boxes from designer brands I couldn't pronounce. One was open. Inside was a handbag the color of bone china with gold hardware that looked like it belonged in a display case, not on someone's arm. I tried to smile. Looks fancy. It's limited edition, she said, lifting it like it was a newborn. They only made 200. I didn't ask the price. I didn't want to know. But that night, curiosity got the better of me. I sat at the kitchen table, logged into our shared credit card account, and stared. $6,000. Just that month. Most of it on studio aesthetics. Some on skincare, high-end slippers, gourmet pantry items. A $300 artisan paperweight. Who the hell needs a $300 paperweight? I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I brought it up, gently, because I still believed I had to walk on eggshells when it came to her dream. Mila, we need to talk about the credit card, I said, setting my coffee down. $6,000 in 1 month? That's a lot. She looked up from her phone, eyebrows arching like I'd just accused her of a crime. Well, okay. So now you're policing me. I'm not policing you. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It's for the business, Darius, she snapped. You said you'd support me. This is part of the journey. But there's no business, I said quietly. There's no kiln, no website, no work, just purchases. That was when she stood up. Oh, I get it now, she said. You're one of those guys. Afraid of a woman with power. Is that it? You want me small and obedient so you can feel like a big man while I wait on your paycheck. I blinked. What are you talking about? You're uncomfortable because I don't answer to you. That I make decisions without groveling for permission. Mila, you haven't made anything. I've been paying all the bills, and now we're thousands in debt. So what? You're keeping score. She spat. Do you want a gold star every time you pay the electric bill? I swallowed hard. I think we need a budget. Something we both agree on. She laughed, loud, cruel. A budget? You want to leash me like a child? Well, it's not about control, I said, my voice cracking. It's about accountability. She crossed her arms. I'm not letting you financially leash me, Darius. That's not a partnership. That's patriarchy. I didn't say anything else. I just backed away mentally, emotionally. I went to work the next day and quietly exported our spending history into a spreadsheet. I tracked every purchase, every pattern, every excuse. I didn't confront her again. Not yet. But I stopped pretending this was still about art. And I started preparing for the fallout. I found out about the loan by accident. I was sorting through the mail on a Thursday morning, sipping coffee, half distracted by a client Slack message on my phone. Most of it was junk catalogs, pre-approved credit offers, flyers. But then I saw it. A thick envelope addressed to both of us from a lender I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it was another credit card ad. But inside was a welcome packet for a $2,000 personal loan, approved and active, using our shared address, under Mila's name. I just stared at it. Not because of the money, it wasn't about the amount. It was the fact that she hadn't said a word. I waited until dinner. She was reheating something fancy she'd picked up from a specialty grocer, $20 bone broth, or something equally unnecessary. Did you take out a loan? I asked, keeping my voice flat. She didn't look at me. I don't know. Maybe. What's the big deal? The big deal, I said, holding up the packet, is that I had to find out through the mail. She turned around slowly, eyes narrowed. I needed some extra cash. For what? For materials. For studio stuff, she said. Then she rolled her eyes. And before you ask, yes, I used our address. You said you'd support me, remember? I said I'd support you building a business, I said. Not racking up debt in secret. She slammed the spoon down into the pot. You were so dramatic. I stared at her. Not angry. Just tired. This has to stop, Mila. What does? She asked, hands on hips. The spending. The lies. The guilt trips. I'm not your enemy. She scoffed. No, you're my finance warden now. That was when I did it. The next morning, before I even logged into work, I canceled our joint credit cards. I opened a new account in my name only. Then I went to the bank and created a checking account for her, deposited $250, and set it up to auto-renew weekly. No more endless credit. No more damage control. When I told her, she stared at me like I'd hit her. Are you serious? She said, her voice cracking. I can't keep funding this, I said. If you need more, you'll have to find work. Her face hardened. This is financial abuse. No, I said calmly. This is a boundary. She stormed off. For the next 2 days, she barely spoke to me. When she did, it was to make snide remarks. Want me to ask your permission before I order shampoo? She muttered once. I didn't answer. She started calling me warden in front of her friends on the phone. One night, I heard her laughing, saying I was obsessed with controlling women. But I wasn't trying to control her. I was just done being her sponsor. And the more I looked at her, the less I saw a partner. I felt like her guardian. And I didn't sign up for that. The call came during my lunch break. I was sitting at my desk, halfway through a leftover burrito, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Hi, is this Darius Thompson? Yeah, speaking. This is Alicia from Horizon Federal. We're calling to verify a flagged credit application submitted earlier today under your name. There were a few inconsistencies we wanted to double-check before processing. My stomach dropped. Wait, I didn't apply for anything. A pause. Oh, she said carefully. Well, the application came through our website using your name, social security number, and your current address. I sat bolt upright in my chair. Are you saying someone tried to open a credit card in my name? She hesitated again. Yes, sir. That's why we flagged it. I thanked her, hung up, and immediately logged into her laptop, the one Mila used more than I did. I knew her passwords. She'd made fun of me for still using the same 4-digit PIN from college. I opened the browser. History. Email. Autofill. There it was. The application confirmation page. Mila's email in the recovery field. Her phone number in the contact section. The delivery address? Our condo. I stared at the screen. My first instinct wasn't anger. It was nausea. Like I'd swallowed something wrong. Like the air in the room was suddenly too thick. That night, I waited until after dinner. Mila was watching some lifestyle vlog on the couch, glass of wine in one hand, legs tucked under a blanket that probably cost more than our vacuum. I stood in the doorway. My voice shook, but I didn't yell. Did you try to open a credit card using my name? She didn't even flinch. What are you talking about? Horizon Federal. Today. She paused her video. I have no idea what that is. I walked over, held out my phone. Then why's your email and number on the confirmation screen? She stared at it. Her lips parted, but nothing came out for a few seconds. I don't know. Maybe I clicked something by accident. By accident? I said. You entered my social security number by accident? That was when the dam broke. Her face crumpled. She put the wine glass down and buried her head in her hands. I didn't know what else to do, she said, voice muffled. You cut me off. You just cut me off. I gave you $250 a week. I can't live on that, she snapped, lifting her head. You're treating me like a child on an allowance. I needed money, Darius. For basics. Basics? I asked. Are more $200 candles and boutique at Cream? She didn't answer. I sat down across from her. This wasn't just about spending, I said. You tried to use my identity. That's fraud. Her chin trembled. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't think about me at all. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just stood up and walked into the bedroom. And for the first time since we moved in together, I locked the door behind me. Because it wasn't just the money anymore. It was trust. And she'd shattered it like a cheap ceramic mug. I didn't speak to Mila the next day. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Something had shifted in me, like a glass finally cracking after holding too much pressure. That evening, I packed a small duffel bag and set it by the door. She was sitting on the couch again, scrolling, acting like nothing had happened. Like we were still playing the same game. You going somewhere? She asked without looking up. Yeah, I said. To my cousin Terrence's for a bit. She finally looked at me. You're serious? I need space. For what? She snapped, standing up. Because I filled out some stupid application? Because you lied, I said, my voice tight. And then you tried to cover it. And when you got caught, you made me feel like the villain for not letting you keep digging the hole. Oh my God, she groaned. You're acting like I robbed a bank. No, I said. You just tried to steal your boyfriend's identity. That's totally different. She crossed her arms. I told you, I was desperate. You cut me off and left me with nothing. I stared at her. I've been paying every bill in this house for over a year. Rent, groceries, utilities. I gave you money every week to live on while you figured things out. And all I got in return was lies, debt, and a bunch of excuses about self-expression. She opened her mouth to fire back, but I didn't let her. You keep calling it independence, I said. But you don't want independence, Mila. You want freedom without responsibility. You want someone else to foot the bill so you can play entrepreneur without the risk. That hit her. She flinched. That's not fair, she whispered. It's the truth, I said. Her eyes welled up. I didn't mean to hurt you, Darius. I just, I didn't know how to fix it. I was scared. I didn't move. Didn't soften. It's not just the money, I said. It's that I don't recognize you anymore. You used to care about building something. Now you care about looking like someone who already has. She covered her face with both hands, sobbing into her palms. I messed up, okay? She choked out. I messed up, and I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd still stay. I knelt to grab my bag. I can't, I said. She reached for my arm. Please don't go. I pulled away. Actions have consequences, Mila. This is mine. I walked out. That night at Terrence's place, I sat on his couch in silence while he handed me a beer. I didn't even open it. Just stared at the label for 20 minutes straight. When my phone lit up, it was Mila. Again. 20 missed calls in an hour. 4 voicemails. Text after text. The messages were a mix of apologies and accusations. You're abandoning me. I didn't mean it. How could you leave after everything? You're blowing this out of proportion. I didn't reply. The next morning, the opinions started rolling in. Mutual friends, her sister, even one of her old coworkers. Some called me cruel. Others said Mila had crossed the line. Most people wanted to stay out of it, but didn't hesitate to throw in their 2 cents. None of it mattered, because for the first time, I admitted the truth to myself. This wasn't a rough patch. It was a relationship I didn't recognize anymore, and I wasn't sure it could be saved. A few days after I left, I sat across from a lawyer in a downtown office that smelled like fresh coffee and printer toner. Unmarried, no kids, no property in both names, she said, glancing through my paperwork. You're in a better position than most. Lucky me, I muttered. She looked up. You ready to be done? I didn't hesitate. Yeah, I am. We went over account closures, legal steps to separate shared finances, and how to protect my identity from any future attempts at, well, fraud. The whole thing took less than 45 minutes. Mila called 6 times while I was in that meeting. I didn't pick up. Back at Terrence's apartment, I scrolled through her messages. Most were some variation of I'm sorry, please talk to me, or I wasn't thinking. But one caught my attention. Mila, can we meet in person? Just to talk. One last time. Please. I stared at it for a while. Eventually, I replied. Me, tomorrow. Cafe Belmont. Noon. That's it. When I walked into the cafe, she was already there, sitting at a corner table with her hair pulled back and big sunglasses she didn't need indoors. She looked like she was going to an audition, not a conversation. Hi, she said, standing slowly. Hi, I replied. I didn't hug her. We sat. She started talking before I even took my jacket off. I've been thinking about everything. I know I messed up. And I know you don't trust me right now, but I just want you to understand. She paused, searching for the words. I never meant to hurt you. I nodded but didn't respond. I panicked, she continued. You cut me off, and I felt cornered. I did something stupid, and I wish I could take it back. You were cornered, I said quietly. Because you spent months digging a hole with no way out. She flinched. You said you'd build something, I said. But you never did. You just bought the fantasy and expected me to pay for it. I know, she said, tears starting to form. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't think you'd leave. I took a breath. Let it settle. Mila, I said, you didn't just spend too much. She looked up at me. You stole from me. She winced, like I'd slapped her. That application wasn't desperation. It was a choice. One that told me exactly how much I mattered once the money stopped. I hate myself for it, she whispered. I don't, I said. But I'm not going to carry it anymore. She wiped her face, trying to compose herself. Is this really it? She asked. I stood. Left a $5 bill on the table. I'm done, I said, voice calm. I hope you figure out what you want. But it won't be with me. And with that, I walked out. She didn't follow. Breaking up with someone you live with is like trying to perform surgery with a butter knife, painful, messy, and slower than it should be. But the one thing I had going for me was that we weren't married. No legal entanglements. No shared mortgage. Just a shared condo that I owned alone and a few tangled bank accounts. My lawyer helped me put everything into writing. Mila was served the documents via email the following Monday. She didn't contest anything. We met once more to walk through the condo and sort out who was taking what. She brought a friend to help pack. I stayed silent, standing off to the side with a notebook, checking things off as she boxed them. She took the bedroom dresser, her velvet chair, a few framed prints, most of the kitchenware she'd picked out. We'd agreed she'd keep about 30% of the shared savings, roughly $4,200. I wired it to her that afternoon. She didn't say thank you. She left her ceramic supplies behind, the bags of unused clay, the dusty pottery wheel, the half-unwrapped glazes still in their boxes. They sat untouched in the second bedroom like a museum to the dream that never happened. I asked if she wanted any of it. No, she said flatly. I don't even know what I'd do with it. She took her car, too. It was in my name, but I signed over the title. Just one more string cut. After that, it was quiet. No dramatic outbursts. No pleading voicemails. Just occasional texts, always neutral. Mila, did you cancel the gas bill, or should I do that? Me, I already did. Mila, you can donate the rest of the pantry stuff. I'm not coming back for it. The last message came about a week later. Mila, I hope you're okay. I didn't respond. I kept things clean and civil. I blocked her on Instagram, left her number unblocked in case of emergencies, and made it clear I wouldn't be replying unless it was strictly financial. And just like that, the woman I once thought I'd marry, the woman I supported, defended, and built a life with, became someone I'd only ever refer to in past tense. She moved into a small apartment across town. A friend of a friend said she was posting minimalist quotes and match-off photos again. I didn't care. The ties were cut. The account was closed. And the silence? It felt like peace. The first night back in the condo felt strange. Too quiet. Too clean. Like the place had been hollowed out, even though most of the furniture was still there. I stood in the middle of the living room for a while, just listening. No music playing from the bedroom. No clinking glasses from the kitchen. No Mila. Just me, the hum of the fridge, and the low whir of the air purifier she left behind. I didn't feel lonely. I felt still. That weekend, I booked a hiking retreat upstate. 3 nights in a cabin near the trails outside Galena. No Wi-Fi, no cell service. Just tall pines, old trails, and a worn leather-bound journal I hadn't touched since college. I left my phone at home. The first day, I barely spoke to anyone. Just nodded at a few strangers and kept to myself. By the second, I was hiking solo through shaded woods, listening to the sound of boots crunching leaves and my own breathing. By the third, I'd found a rock by a lake and sat there for hours, just thinking. Not about Mila. Not really. About me. What I gave. What I tolerated. What I mistook for love. I opened the journal that night in the cabin. Scribbled down one sentence that had been stuck in my chest since the beginning. Support without limits becomes self-destruction. I stared at that line for a while. Then I wrote more. Everything I'd been avoiding for months. How I ignored the red flags. How I confused loyalty with silence. How I thought being the supportive one meant disappearing completely. When I got home, I felt lighter. Not healed. Not yet, but clearer. The next week, I took time off work. First real break I'd had in almost 2 years. I cleaned out the second bedroom, the so-called studio, and hauled everything to Goodwill. Clay, glaze, packaging supplies. Even the fancy rug she bought for creative energy. I rolled it all out to the curb and didn't look back. Then I painted the room. Pale blue. The color of fresh air. Turned it into an office. My office. A desk I picked out myself. A bookshelf full of tech manuals and novels I kept meaning to read. A small corkboard above the desk with only one pinned note. Boundaries aren't cruelty. They're clarity. Every time I walked in there, it felt like breathing again. I wasn't in a rush to date, or explain, or rehash the story with every friend. I just wanted space, and quiet, and the kind of peace that doesn't come with strings attached. The thing about starting over is, no one announces it. There's no finish line, no grand moment. It's just one morning, you wake up and the air feels different. You drink your coffee alone, and it tastes stronger. You look around at what's left, and you finally say, this is mine. And that's enough.